Hello, Jeroen.
Danny. Hi, Danny. And Anupa is here. And Yunyen is here. Hello, hello. You all made it. Hi, Michaela.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
The voice is deep.
Hello.
Well, we're live on YouTube, by the way, and we're recording this session, and you all know that already, but we need to mention it. So, of course, we want to see your lovely faces, but just in case, you might want to switch off your camera. No, Jeroen, we have seen you. And we want to. So where are we? At the Wednesday Web Jam, because it's Wednesday. And today we have one of my favorite guests, and it's not the first time that he's here. That is Colin, and he'll take over soon enough. So there's just a little time to just set the stage and say what you have to expect. You have to expect, as always, a forum of experimentalists, and we want to just encourage you to be a change maker and to learn and to share, and to do that in a very nice and friendly fashion. So this is what we hope we can expect from this, and most of you have been with us already. Who's new, by the way? Anybody? Emily hasn't been here, and Diana has been. And I would have said I have seen you before. So welcome. Just go with the flow. This is a very empathetic and kind bunch of people that you're meeting here, and we do hope that you feel at home here, and and come back next time. So today is Somatic Intelligence, and Colin is from South Africa. We've had him on the Wednesday Web Jam a couple of times. By the way, he's part of the village, and he's our troubadour, and he's been everything else as well, keeping the village people by the fireside, because we call ourselves like the village. And he's a storyteller, he's a theatre man. He has given a very, very cool TEDx talk on this topic of somatic intelligence. So today he's here. And I won't make more words. I just pass over to you, Colin.
Mm-hmm. So I can feel like a little tingling, vibrating sensation in my chest. And I can actually feel it extended into my belly as well. And a little bit of warmth around my neck. It kind of feels like a combination of excitement, a little bit of nervousness, slight sort of vibration in my chest, my throat. And a sense of trust, sort of like a holding in my belly. So neuroscientists often say, it's a saying, they say, name it to tame it. And so I hope that helps. This is more or less what interoception looks like and what interoception feels like. We'll talk more about interoception in a moment. But I wanted to start off with a little experiment. And last week I did a really cool project in Namibia. It was an ideation sprint with a group of really smart young people who were all innovating around digital products to help with biodiversity in Namibia, to conserve biodiversity through innovative digital products. And one of the really cool ideas that came through was, imagine if you could put some kind of a pulse on a rhino or a lion that had been darted. And so you put some kind of a monitor on their heartbeat and you measure their heartbeat, and that gets transferred to a little node that someone could hold onto on the other side. And so they could actually feel the pulse of a rhino or a lion's heartbeat, or any animal for that matter. And it got me thinking, what could we do now to kind of play and explore that? So let's try a quick little experiment. I don't know if it'll work. Let's try. I guess that's what an experiment is. So if you could all just put your, find your pulse, your heart rate, your pulse, just kind of feel and find your pulse. Are we all on gallery view? So find your pulse. Okay, great. And then just very clearly in sync with your pulse, just sort of nod your head like that. Keep your eyes open. See if you can just nod your head and keep your head nodding so it's visible. You have to exaggerate the movement. And see if you can do that at the same time. Just look around the gallery and see if you can find someone whose pulse is in sync with yours. Remember to breathe. Okay, great. So let's try. I'm going to pick on Jeroen. Jeroen, can you, so everyone else, you can just drop your finger, but just Jeroen, you just keep your finger on your pulse and keep your head movement really clear. And then if everyone else can just sync your head movement with Jeroen. I don't know if there's delays, but let's try it. Okay. Are you feeling the love, Jeroen? We'll call that a soma sync. Okay, awesome. So as some of you know, I'm from the theater, and the body obviously plays a huge role in pretty much everything in theater. And the theater is all about embodiment, even though we don't use that term much at all. But let's start by just bringing our body into the present. You know, our minds can wander. Our minds are magical. They can time travel. We can go into the past, move from the past to the present to the future. But to really be present, we need to be embodied. Sensing in the present starts with being embodied and sensing the feeling from our bodies. So just start. You can open your mic if you want, but if you feel a bit more self-conscious, put your mic off, mute yourself. But just start by tapping. Awaken your body, just start tapping on your chest. You can start sounding if you want as well. Just start awakening your body, bringing it in. Feel free to sound, I mean, on top of each other. Awakening your chest, and you can move to your shoulders. There we go, down your arm. Ooh. Really connect with that sensation. Enjoy it. Oh, see if different sounds emerge from different parts of your body. Oh, and your breath. Good. Go to the other arm. Oh, just shake that out a bit. And keep tapping, going down your body, down to your stomach a bit. And then down your buttocks maybe. Keep going. Ooh, lower back. My lower back's a bit tight. Tapping my lower back out. That's awesome. Oh, good. You can smile. That's also good. And then tapping your legs all the way down your legs. Ooh. Ooh. See if you can feel warmth maybe coming through your body. Just check in with sensation. Okay, that's good. Shake your hands out. Lovely. Hope you enjoyed that. Huh? Fantastic. So anything that I invite you to do today is absolutely your choice. You are in control. You are the boss. If you don't want to do it, you don't do it. Just to be clear. Who's the boss? Yes, indeed. So embodiment it's about your subjective experience of self. Experiencing self through your sensorial landscape. So 15 years ago, I had that amazing opportunity to travel to Japan, and I was there for an 8-month fellowship in theater. And prior to arriving in Japan, I was super excited. I knew that it felt like destiny. Even before my application was accepted, I just had a feeling. I knew that this was going to be my path for the next year. And I was so excited, and I was, I held this excitement, and it kept building and building. And eventually I flew to Japan, arrived there, and completely spaced out in my head, just full of excitement. And I fell asleep on the bus on the way from the airport to the center of town, where my host collected me and fetched me. And he picked me up, and I woke up to a kind of a sea of hieroglyphics, and excitement came building up again. And it was overwhelming. I mean, it was enjoyable, it was lovely, but it was really overwhelming. And so my host took me to the house where I was going to be staying, and he said, "Your room's on the 3rd floor." Wow, a 3-floor building in the middle of Tokyo. That's really special. If anyone's been there knows that. I ran up to the room, and there was a balcony on the adjacent to my room. And I went out in the balcony, and I stood there, and I had that sense in that moment. I wanted to remember this moment, and I wanted to be a little bit more centered. And I looked around this view, the whole of Shinjuku. And I stood there, and I felt my feet on the ground, slightly loose knees, and I took a deep breath in. And I closed my eyes, and I just connected with that excitement. There was just bubbles of effervescence everywhere, floating around. I took a few deep breaths, 5 or 6 deep breaths. And every time I breathed in, every time I breathed out, I could feel that sort of that excitement just settle, slowly settling. And I allowed it to settle into my legs and into my feet. And then I opened my eyes, and I looked around that beautiful view. And in my mind, I thought, I really want to mark this moment. And I kind of took a somatic selfie, as it may. Took a deep breath in and allowed myself to be completely present in my body as much as possible in that moment. And now, 15 years later, I can visit that moment whenever I want to. When I'm feeling excitement, when I'm feeling low, whatever, I can visit that moment, close my eyes, I can drop into that moment and reconnect with the way I was experiencing that moment, with this kind of grounded calmness. And it's a beautiful thing to be able to do that. Is that somatic intelligence? I want to tell you one more quick story of my father. Growing up with my dad, he was a very, very busy man. He was constantly on the go. He was a really dedicated businessman, always working, incredible work ethic, but really stressed, highly strung. That was a memory of my father growing up. And he eventually moved to America. And when he was in America, many years later, he was building his castle, for a king. He was building this amazing house, and he used to go there every single day to look on the workmen. And it was a really stressful thing. And then one day he slipped and fell. And from that day on, he started developing ALS, which is motor neuron degenerative disease. And the next 5 years was a horrible experience of him becoming more and more sick and losing capability in his body. Muscles deteriorate. My father was an elite athlete. He used to run Comrades Marathon. If you know, in South Africa, it's 90 kilometers, one stretch. He ran 10 of those. He used to run all the time. He was always busy. And as he got progressively sick, when I went to visit him, I started doing breathing exercises with him, because one of the things that happens is that your diaphragm starts deteriorating. The muscles don't work. The diaphragm is a muscle. And so I would do exercises with him to strengthen his diaphragm, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, various exercises, some of them soft, some of them quite intense. And I remember the one day he was breathing, and he opened his eyes on his balcony, and he kind of looked outside, and he had this glazed look in his eye almost. And I said, "Dad, are you okay? What's going on?" And he sort of pointed and he said, "The leaves, they're dancing in the wind, and the sunlight is like reflected off them. It's so beautiful. I've always been so busy in my life, I've never noticed that." Is that somatic intelligence? Is that somatic intelligence? So I invite you to try this for a moment. Be comfortable, either you're sitting or standing, just kind of move your body into a comfortable position, slightly erect, spine, but not stressed. Sitting straight up on your sit bones. Oh, take a nice deep breath and release. Good. And now I invite you just to close your eyes for a moment. It's a little bit easier with the eyes closed. When you practice, you'll be able to do it with your eyes open. Just for now, if you want, just close your eyes. Let's take 2 or 3 more deep breaths and just imagine sinking into your body, into the moment. Good. Now bring your awareness to a part of your body anywhere. Perhaps it's the sensation of your feet on the ground. Or perhaps it's your sitting bones on the chair. Maybe it's your knee that's a bit tight, or the sensation of your clothing on your body somewhere, or the warmth under your armpit even. Anywhere, it doesn't matter. Just rest your awareness on that part of your body. And just sit there for another few seconds. And while you're there, just see if you can sense any sensation. Can you notice any sensation whatsoever? Okay, and then just allow your awareness to move to another part of your body, completely different. In any way that feels comfortable and easy for you, just move your awareness to another part of your body. If you're struggling to actually check in with a part of your body, you can just gently touch a part of your body to activate sensation. Just move your awareness there. What are you noticing in that part of your body? What sensation does your awareness bring you to right there? And now just do that a few more times. Move around your body for the next 30 seconds on your own. Remember to keep your breath active, but relaxed. Shifting your sensation, swirling around your body from one place to the next. Okay, wonderful. And in your own time, you can just come back to the screen, open your eyes. Is that somatic intelligence? So an astronaut explores outer space. A somanaut explores inner space. After all, there are more connections in the human nervous system than there are stars in the universe. Isn't that amazing? So we are a universe unto ourselves. Jill Hadley, by the way, coined that somanaut expression. So let's continue this little exploration. We'll start with a little bit more breathing. What's that, Bibka? Oh, you're on mute. Oh, the time. Okay, you wanted to. You're on mute, Bibka. We can start it now, right?
The breathing exercise.
We're gonna start.
I wanted to ask how much time that was.
Oh, that was the wrong place, but that's okay. We can do it now. Yeah. So let's continue. Stay in this kind of somewhat embodied place. You know, embodiment really is the foundation of all of this work. Is the breath. Breathing is super important, as it is for many modalities around the world, all the different embodiment modalities. So, you know, some of you might think, oh, breathing is so boring. It reminds you of a story of a pranayama teacher, a guru, who was with a student, and they were doing breathing exercises. And the student said to him, oh, but teacher, you know, this breathing is so boring. And so the guru said, come over here, come over here. And he led him to a big barrel of water. And he said, look in the water. And so the student looks in the water. And as he did that, the teacher dunked his head underwater. And the student was flailing. He kept his head under the water like that for another few seconds. And the student started to panic. You could see it. And eventually he lifted his head out. And the student was, and the teacher said to him, how boring is breathing now? So let's start with a very, very simple breathing technique, calling it sipping water. This is actually from, I forget the guy's name on YouTube, really cool TED talk actually. But this part, sipping water, it's just simply 4 breaths in and 4 breaths out. And a slight pause in between. We're not doing box breathing now. This is just simply breathing in 4 breaths and then out for 4. Beautiful. So your breath work, breathing is a really, really core, pivotal part of your embodiment journey. Another really important practice in embodiment, in building your embodied awareness, is what we call centering. Now, there's a lot of different centering techniques. And so centering is just deliberately adjusting your psychological and physiological reaction to pressure and stress. It's about regulating. So I'm going to teach you a quick one now called ABC, awareness, balance, core. So again, just remain seated or standing, be relaxed, relax knees. And then just dropping into sensation, dropping into your body with some breathing. Okay, good. And now bring your awareness, bring your awareness to different sensation in your body, like we did before. Perhaps your feet or your sit bones. Just notice the sensation on your skin. Can you notice any tension in your body? Without changing anything, without grasping, just notice it. Any other sensation in your body, bringing your awareness to your body. And now shift your awareness to balance, in the center. So put your awareness onto the top of your head and become aware of the space above your head now. And become aware of the space around you, to the side of you, behind you, underneath you. And so gently just rock your body to side if you want, or forwards, backwards. Just become aware of the space all around you, the space that your body occupies. As you're gently rocking, then gently come back to a balanced, neutral position again in your body. Just feel balance, feel that support. Now bring your awareness to the core, central part of your body. So from your forehead, notice if your forehead is relaxed, we want to relax our core. Is your forehead relaxed? Bring it down to your mouth. Is your mouth relaxed? Your jaw, just drop your jaw to your chest. Feel that relaxation in your chest, in your stomach. Just gently relax your stomach. Okay, wonderful. And then just come back to the room. You can open your eyes. So we did 2 minutes. So I don't know how long did we take there? How long do you guys think we took for that? Quickly, any responses in the chat? How long did that little ABC exercise take? 1 minute from Mika, 5 minutes, 1 year. Okay. How long was that, Mika?
1 minute and 48 seconds.
Okay, it's not quite 1 year. So sometimes we can lose a sense of time. Time can stretch or it can condense. Okay, so let's appreciate the brain for a moment. I'm going to pop onto share my, where do I find that? There we go. Boom. Okay, let's appreciate the brain for a moment. This is Dan Siegel, a model of the brain. So if you could all do that, just hold your hand up like that. Maybe some of you know that. So our nervous system, our brains, as we develop, just like plants, They shape themselves towards essential nutrients of sun, water, and soil. Our brain and our nervous system, it shapes itself towards 3 essential nutrients. The first is safety and protection. Our nervous system is primed to ensure our safety. And this is the brain stem, this part of the brain. The brain stem evolves first. And it shapes towards the absence or presence of safety. Next comes the limbic system, which is responsible for connection. So fold your thumb in like that. So the limbic system, again, it shapes itself around the presence or absence of connection. We are a sense of belonging. We are social creatures. And then the third is the cortex, the neocortex. You fold that over your limbic system. And again, our cortex, our neocortex, prefrontal cortex, clever, smart part of our brain. This all shapes according to the presence or absence of dignity and respect. And the brain's remarkable. The brain is 4%, I think, of our body weight, but it consumes 20% of all oxygen. And the brain, as a nervous system, is a pattern detecting instrument. So our body recognizes patterns, and the nervous system creates these habitual and default pathways to save energy. So the body saves energy and goes in a default mode, autopilot. It is primed to keep us safe, and at the base level, the brainstem to keep us safe. So what happens though when we're exposed to stressful situations or contexts that our default primal neural wiring interprets as a threat? What happens is we flip our lid. So how do we, this is our sympathetic nervous system, our fight or flight gets activated. How do we regulate that, bring us back to the parasympathetic? Well, we can breathe, we center. So let's try that. So imagine you flip your lid. Boom. Take a few deep breaths. Activate our parasympathetic nervous system, relaxation, rest and digest. Oh, wonderful. And then you're driving your car and someone swerves in front of you. Flip your lid. Oh, take a deep breath. Activate the parasympathetic nervous system. And your partner, like often happens to me, says something to me in a way that I've told myself I'm not going to react in a typical way. I'm not going to get angry. She says something to me, completely innocent. What happens? I flip my lid. I interpret this as fight or flight, and it's often an overreaction. I need to activate my parasympathetic nervous system again. Take a deep breath. So at this point, we need to address like a misleading philosophy espoused by Descartes. Remember, he was the guy that said, I think, therefore I am. And so for the philosophers in the room, you might enjoy this one. You hear the one about Descartes walks into a bar and the barman says, hey, would you like a drink? And Descartes says, I think not. And poof, he disappears in a puff of logic. So obviously, I think, therefore I am kind of implies that our thinking determines our existence. I think it's perhaps more accurate the other way around. I am, therefore I think. And Descartes is one of the people that set forward this idea and perpetuated this idea that the body and the brain are 2 separate entities and that they don't exist together. As you can see on the right, our distributed brain, which is our brain and our nervous system, consists of our brain, which extends as neural networks all the way to the end of our fingertips and our toes. And likewise, our nervous system extends from our fingertips all the way back to the brain. Our body is our brain, and our brain is the body. So how do we feel more? Well, by developing a more conscious connection to an inner world of breath, sensation, and emotions that are a part of both our conceptual awareness and our embodied awareness. So, of course, all of us are unconsciously embodied to some degree, but it's possible to raise that level of body awareness to increase our interoceptive awareness. And we'll see what that is in a second. I want to pass on another beautiful exercise just for a moment. This is something you can do. It was Doug Silsby. I think the Coaching with Presence, I think the book's called. And so just again, close your eyes, be still, drop any expectation for what you might experience. It's not about experiencing it's not about analyzing anything here. Don't have any expectation, just simply go with it. Let this be an experience. And so with your middle finger and your ring finger, just gently touch the area where your heart is. Touch your body above your heart. Just gently touch it. And drop any expectation, if it feels strange or weird, that's okay. Just let that be your experience too. And as you're doing this, just gently smile. Allow a little smile to come on your face. And somehow connect that smile with your heart. Somehow allow the smile to feed your heart and allow your heart to be strong and grow. Beautiful. And so this is something that you can do repetitively many times a day to continually develop your interoceptive awareness. While we're in this kind of soft space, thanks, you can drop if you want to. I want you to think of this is an experimental exercise. Think of a trigger in your life. So a situation where you get triggered. I've mentioned a few from my life, but think of a situation where you get triggered in your life, where you have a strong emotional response, like anger. Where do you get really angry? What happens? Who are you with? And in your imagination, just paint a picture of the situation. Just bring your awareness and your imagination to that moment. What is the habit or the pattern of response for that trigger of anger? What is the action? What do you do? So just bring that into your awareness now in your imagination. Now, while you're thinking about that moment, shift to feeling into the sensation of that moment. Can you describe the physical sensation you experience with that trigger? Where in your body do you notice it? Can you give the sensation a shape or a color? Okay, just come back to the room. Thank you. So I'm curious to know, was that difficult or easy? On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being easy, 10 being difficult, was it difficult or easy to tap into a sensation and be able to name it? Throw that in chat, I'm curious. 3, easy. 4, okay. 8, 1. So very varying. So some people find it easy, some not so easy. So for most people, this is not really easy. Have you ever been in a coaching session or where someone says, how do you feel? And it's pointless if we're unable to make a distinction. It's a well-intentioned question, but if we don't know how to make a distinction, if we don't know how to feel, then we're not going to be able to answer that question. And so the body is primed to pay attention externally, our exteroception, our sight, sound, taste, touch, and what's the other one? Our exteroceptive receptive smell. Thank you. And so we're primed to pay attention externally. That makes sense because we want to survive in the world. And so we've evolved, and our nervous system evolves to be to be able to adapt to the external environment. But internal awareness happens much more slowly and quietly. And so there's an anatomical bias towards exteroception, plus there's a cultural bias towards and favors intellect. Also, there's an individual psychobiological armoring, which is shaping, which I'll talk about in a minute, which is it's just another jargon word. But these things combined means that there are people that can't feel themselves. So the first step to feeling more is to offer distinctions. This is one of the first steps in building our interoceptive and embodied awareness. There's a slide for that. Am I even on that? Let me get there. Okay. So we have exteroception, which we've spoken about. Proprioception is our ability to navigate space, to know where our body is in space, separation between self and other. This is about balance. And there's another aspect of proprioception, kinesthesia, which is around movement, able to move and around space. And these three, exteroception, interoception, and proprioception, are the three primary channels we have to sense, for sensation, and to feel more. And so we're going to just focus a little bit on interoception here, because this is the one that's really meaty, the one that's going to help us develop and grow our internal embodied awareness. So what kind of distinctions? So if I ask you to, what do you feel? It's difficult to explain and to pinpoint if we're not used to naming those sensations. And so we need to build a vocabulary of sensation. We have a very impoverished vocabulary for distinctions and embodiments. And so location, for example, where are you feeling sensation? We have this whole body, our soma, and different parts of our body, internally, externally. Internally, obviously, is a little bit more difficult, but we can learn to pinpoint where that sensation is in our body. Then with temperature, pressure, and movement, these are all really around interoception. Location is, to a large degree, proprioception. And so can you sense that sensation? Is it a certain temperature? All these different distinctions relating to temperature. And what about pressure? There's a whole lot of, I'm feeling sort of hot and heavy in my chest, or feeling really light and cool in my kind of stomach area, or whatever it might be. And so practicing applying these types of distinctions to name sensation is a really useful and really important tool in building your interoception. Another, moving, kind of naming sensation based on movement, and then energy level and others as well. Brilliant. Oh, am I moving that around? Apologies. So it's really important. Another part of building our interoception and building body awareness is somatic opening. And some people are actually, if you touch them on a certain part of their body, they actually don't feel it. Some people are really somatically closed. That can be because of trauma. It can be because of many other things in their lives. And so touch is a really important part of building somatic opening and allowing for somatic opening and building body awareness. Body work, I receive body work a lot. I'm really lucky. But intimate touch, this is why, we all know the story of a baby that isn't touched will eventually wither and die. And so touch is a really important part of opening up our somatic sensibility. Quickly, one more exercise before we go into something with a bit more movement. This is called owl eyes. So maybe shift away from the screen. Don't look at the screen. Find an object or a point somewhere in your room to be comfortable and focus your eyes on that point in the distance. Connect with your breath. This is another centering exercise. Connect with your breath. And with that sharp focus, begin to slowly diffuse your vision. Start moving away from that focus and start taking in the rest of the room. Start opening up your peripheral vision. Start moving further and further away into the rest of the room. Expand that peripheral vision as much as possible. Take in the room as much as you can. Notice everything. And then just gently, slowly bring your focus again to that point. Start honing your focus onto that point again. Cool. This is owl eyes. It's a great little centering exercise. So I want to take us to something with a little bit more movement. And this is something that was, this exercise was something I experienced recently, or it's a variation of something I experienced recently, inspired by Emily, who's actually in the room here. Thanks, Emily. So let's try this. Okay, I'd like you to, where are we? Let's stop the sharing for a second. Okay, so make sure there's space to move around. If you feel comfortable, just stand up, and hopefully there's some space you can move around in your room, wherever you are. So we should have given you that kind of heads up beforehand. So before you start moving, just find a position in space. I mean, you can stay seated if you want to, but I do encourage you to move around. All right, so just close your eyes if you need to for a moment, and just think of a person with whom you have a difficult relationship. Anyone in your life. So think of someone you have a difficult relationship with, and now look around your room and find an object near you or in the room that in some way represents this difficult relationship. Doesn't matter how, but in some way that object represents this person and this relationship that you are struggling with or that you have a challenge with. Be clear in what way. So pick up that object and move it if you want to, place it somewhere else, or you can just leave it where it is and notice it. And then just for a moment, connect with yourself in space and with that object, and be aware of that object in your presence. Right. Now just connect with your breath. Keep your eyes open. Now, as you see that object, as you're connecting with that object, just notice any sensations you hold in this relationship in your awareness. See if you can notice where in your body you notice that sensation without trying to change it, without doing anything else, but just notice the sensation. And see if you can describe it in some way. Offer some distinction. And if you're struggling with that, that's okay. We're practicing here. Sensation in your guts. And how can you describe that sensation? You've located it. You don't have to share it, but you can describe it to yourself. A stretch, lovely. And now, open your eyes, keep sensing into connection with the relationship as represented by the object, and explore variations in relation to this object. So now perhaps take 1 or 2 steps back while you're facing the object. Slowly take your time, or you can do it quickly. And now notice, has something changed? That sensation you might have noticed earlier, is it still there? Has it shifted? What sensation are you noticing now? And now try turning around and take a few steps away from the object. And keep your back to the object. And then stop. Again, notice, is there any sensation? Has the previous sensation shifted? Just describe it to yourself. Now try sitting on the ground. Take a seat on the ground, on a chair. Keep your awareness of the object in space, and then just try rocking back and forth. Notice the sensation and describe it. Keep connected with your breath. And so from that position, maybe reach for the object, but stay sitting. Just reach for the object. Just hold that for a moment. Notice sensation. See if you can describe it. Can you also connect with an emotion? What is the emotion that correlates to that sensation? All right, so now just for the next 30 seconds, you can stand up and explore variations on your own for another 30 seconds until you find a position and a place in your room that feels most comfortable for you in relation to the object. And just keep noticing any arising sensations in your body. So vary your movements, turn around, speed up, shake. Beautiful. And so when you're ready, just come back to your seat, pick up your pen and paper, and just write down all the sensations and describe them that you experience now as best you can. Just spend 2 minutes. Notice any gut feelings, any hunches or intuitive hits you get while exploring your relationship with this this person as represented by the object. So just take 2 minutes to do that quickly now. You won't need to share it with anyone unless you want to. Okay, just another 30 seconds. What is the story of our embodiment? So imagine there is a valley and it rains and the water runs down this valley for the very first time. And as it starts running down, it chooses low points and it needs to make a choice as it flows down. And eventually it chooses the path of least resistance and it keeps flowing. And eventually it chooses a direction and it just keeps flowing over time, and it starts carving its way into the valley. So initially the energy creates the form, the energy of the water, the energy of the environment creates the form and carves its way into the valley. But eventually that form then directs the energy and the water flows in one particular way. This is the principle of resonance. So energy creates form and eventually that form directs the energy. And it's the same with our embodiment. As we grow up in life, our nervous system is responding to our life experiences, responding to the environment around us, and it shapes and forms accordingly. And it shows up in our embodiment. Yeah. There's a process called shaping through explicit memory. Explicit memory, as opposed to explicit memory is the ability to remember facts and figures and where you live, but implicit memory is held in our body. Implicit memory is the kind of stamp that your body takes on through your life experiences. Where's that quote from Amanda Blake here? Any system that aims to store information forms a material record. Think of ink on paper, oil on canvas, or grooves on vinyl. In the case of human memory, the material record lies in the cells and tissues of the human body. That's Amanda Blake. And so your body is an instrument of perception, and that instrument is physically shaped by life experiences. Your entire distributed nervous system adapts to the life you've lived, and that shape determines how you see the world and affects the possibilities you can do and things you can see. So consider what are the important influences in your shaping, how you've been shaped by these forces. The brain, as I've mentioned, is a pattern detection instrument. And the role of the brain is to ensure that the body adapts to the external environment. It recognizes certain patterns and then goes on to autopilot. When a baby's born, a 1-month-old baby has double the number of neural connections than a fully grown adult. That's because the process of, while a baby is growing, there's a process of connecting certain neural connections that form your nervous system, recognizes patterns, and it forms ingrained neural pathways. But then the other pathways that don't get used get pruned. And so when we become an adult, we have half the number of neural connections to a 1-month-old baby. So that's a process of pruning. And neural networks don't end in a vacuum. They innovate muscle, tissues, and organs. And so patterns of neural firing become patterns of physical holding in our body. And patterns of physical holding become patterns of action and behavior. And so through implicit memory and armoring is this process of forming neural connections. The person you are is inherently embodied. And so our job is to raise your embodied awareness of these patterns, develop range, and then make conscious choices. If you're not making choices for your body is going to make those choices for you. And so the problem is that the neural pathways that organize and solidify when we're growing to ensure safety and survival don't necessarily serve us anymore. Often the time we flip our lid. Ooh, I'm getting an indication that my battery's about to run out. And so if we operate on autopilot without disrupting these patterns, we keep perceiving and acting in the world in the same way, often without realizing it. So I need to connect my battery. Sorry, 1 second. Okay.
It's part of the show, Colin.
Keep breathing.
You need to be connected to your battery anytime.
I didn't even notice I was away.
Failing forward.
So I would like someone, my friend Yuan Yen, can you read this poem to us, please?
Yes, I will. Transformation isn't sweet and bright. It's a dark and murky, painful pushing, an unraveling of the untruths you've carried in your body, a practice in facing your own created demons, a complete uprooting before becoming.
Thank you. So how do we change disrupting, hacking these neural pathways that have been formed to help us survive, that don't serve us anymore? It can be uncomfortable. It's not easy. It requires us to raise our awareness so that we can rest and hijack these neural pathways before they go into autopilot and before they cause us to flip our lid. And so this is the pathway of embodiment, is to be able to raise our awareness, arrest the stimulus, so that instead of just going into reaction mode, we stretch the elastic gap between stimulus and response. And in this slow space, we take our time, we slowly develop our interoceptive awareness, along with our proprioceptive and exteroceptive awareness. And this is the practice that's required in order to do that. And as we raise our level of embodied awareness, we pop above that unconscious, habitual way of responding and being in the world, so that we can have more intentional responses. So I want to leave you with this slide: conceptual self-awareness and embodied self-awareness. Our body and our brain are intimately connected. In fact, they are lovers. And awareness, self-awareness, embodied awareness is a fundamental aspect of awareness. Our mind can travel in time, but our bodies require us to be present in the moment to experience it. And so, our conceptual awareness is based in language. We experience it through facts, details, information, obviously really, really important. And our embodied awareness, though, is based in sensing and feeling. It's present moment awareness. We experience it through temperature. We experience it through movement, pain. And sensation must reach a threshold of emotional significance for working memory to be activated. Our emotions are your brain and body's way of interpreting the sensation that we experience and feel. And often our emotions are not always aligned with what the sensation means in your body. And so boop, we flip our lid. And so embodied awareness enables you to regulate and to center and to continue practice, to develop range so that we can make more intentional choices. Without that range, we have no other choices that we can make. And so I'm going to leave it on that. I would like to end this I'm going to count from 3. I'm going to go 3, 2, 1. And on the 4th beat, I'd like us all to clap 3 times. Maybe unmute yourselves, please. Unmute yourselves. So I'm going to say 3, 2, 1, and then we're going to clap 3 times. And snip, snap, snooter, Noord en Ute, as I say in Norwegian. Snip, snip, snip. Now it's finished. Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Thank you. This is not ended, the session. Thank God we have the backstage without YouTube. But yeah, we do have half an hour more. Just reflect and share your thoughts. But before we want to, yes, thank you, Mimp, very much. Before we just want to announce the next session, which is a very, very special one. Mimp, do you want to do that?
Does Colin want to do that?
Let me help you.
Colin is doing something as well, but he needs to
Yes.
one breath.
Let me help you out, guys. Yes. Mimp, if I can share the screen, then I will talk everybody through it.
Okay.
Go for it.
Okay, thank you very much. And staying in the language that Colin just gave to us, I quickly go through the conceptual self-awareness. So lovely, Emily and Diana, you were here for the first time. So if you have a future, if you have an idea for a future session, here is where you can drop it. And I also want to introduce to you that we collect money to cover our costs, and we do that by Ko-fi. So anybody in this community who loves to give us their cents, their dollars, their yens and their euros, please drop it in the Ko-fi. This is the crew. We are all volunteers making it possible that this Wednesday web jam is published, is done on Wednesdays. And in a moment, we will go into backstage. But before that, I take you out of the conceptual self-awareness and putting you back in the embodied self-awareness. And why is that? Why is that? That is because next time we are going to meet each other, it will be number 100. Number 100 of Wednesday Web Jam. Yeah! We are going to do this. Yes, exactly.
And we have a hymn. We have a hymn.
Yes, we do. We do. But I need to bridge it for you because 100 might sound and be just a number, but it is not a number because it was forged by the whole community. 100 single individual sessions forged, created, handcrafted by the crew members and their speakers and their speakers. And how could that happen? How could that happen? Not because we had these concepts in their minds, not at all. How I felt it is because we were connected by friendship. We felt friendship. And that is why we have met for 99 times today. So I welcome on behalf of the whole crew, you coming back for number 100. And yes, some speakers don't realize they are part of the crew. Not only Colin, but also Rani, I see Sarah Jane, I see Dani, I see. So please, Colin, please, let us hear what you have made for us.
It's been over 100 weeks since we all first met. Wednesday Web Jam welcomes you back again. It's time to celebrate. We should all be so proud. Wednesday Web Jam welcomes you back again. We all made each other laugh and cry with each glorious week that went by. Wednesday Web Jam welcomes you back again. So feast your eyes on your friends over there, smiling and waving everywhere. Wednesday Web Jam welcomes you back again. Wednesday Web Jam welcomes you back again. Wednesday Web Jam welcomes you back again.
So, number 100, within 2 weeks, it will be fun, playful, exciting, and with a lot of arts. Come back.
Remember, it's the 20th of April, not next week, but the week after. Remember.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay. Bye-bye for those who have to go. And let's go into backstage.
And bye-bye to YouTube.
Goodbye, YouTube.
Thanks, everyone. Stay on a little bit.